Hi, in this video, I'm going to talk about a spanning tree feature called BPDU Guard. Okay, so first of all, I want to mention that in spanning tree, you cannot have a diameter greater than 7 switches. This has to do with BPDs being propagated and recognizing root bridges, given the amount of the timers, the amount of time in each of the timers. So this would actually be a problem. From this switch here, if we count all the way to this switch, that's a total of 8 switches. The STP diameter cannot be greater than 7. That's very important. Okay, so this would actually cause problems. And there's various cases, some pretty famous cases of, like, one that comes to mind is a large hospital back east that they violated the STP network diameter of 7 switches, similar to what we see here, 8 switches. You can have more than 7 switches, but from end to end, counting them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here that we're showing, you can't, you got to be at least no more than 7 switches from end to end at the very ends of your switched network. Okay, and I was mentioning a problem back at a hospital back east, and what occurs is when you have this problem is you'll start having multiple root bridges for the same VLANs, and the switches in the middle don't know which one is the actual root bridge. Sometimes they'll think this is, sometimes they'll think this is, or whatever the root bridges are. But you'll see multiple root bridges in the same local area network. And that causes a problem with convergence because STP is constantly reconverging, saying, oh, remember that 3-step process and then the 5-step decision sequence process? That is constantly happening. Ports are always going from the block state, listening, learning, all that stuff is constantly happening. Causes a major issue. So first of all, we always want to limit the number of switches that we have to no more than 7 end to end. Okay, so how do we prevent somebody from adding a switch in our network? Okay, so this is always a good thing. You want to have control over your network. You don't want somebody just adding switches. You don't want a user just adding a switch because they want more ports. If they need more ports, they should be, talking to the network team to, for more ports, or let the network team add the switch so they have control. You got to know what you're dealing with in your own network. So let's see what happens when we add. Matter of fact, let's see what happens when we have a switch here that we see distribution 1, and its port has actually been configured as port fast. Okay, I want to back up one just really quick. We also want to do this BPDU guard to avoid somebody adding a switch and violating our 7 switch diameter. You start adding somebody adds a series of switches to your network, can easily violate that 7 switch diameter, and you'll have nothing but problems. But here's another problem. What if that we have configured distribution 1 port, FA01, I think that is, to be port fast, meaning we expect the user to have a end device there. Okay, if they connect the switch, it will actually send out BPDUs. This will go into blocking and then listening states while the switch forwards BPDUs out to other switches. And the problem is that we could have an STP reconvergence. We could even have another switch decide, or this switch here decide, the one that we added, decide that it is now the root bridge. Okay. So what we want to do is enable something called BPDU guard on all of our switch ports that have end user devices. So we want to use it with port fast. Okay. So port fast and BPDU guard. What will happen here is if the user attempts to add a switch, it will actually error disable, shut down the port. No BPDUs will be sent. It won't affect the rest of our topology. They don't even know that somebody did that. Okay, so it keeps somebody from plugging in a switch where they shouldn't be plugging in a switch, either which could violate our 7-switch diameter, the STP 7-switch diameter rule, or could be causing problems if we've configured port fast on that interface. All right, I hope that helps you understand a little bit about BPDU Guard.